Welcome to Trading Lounge and the European indices for the 1st of June, and we'll be covering the DAX and the Footsie. The DAX has really been leading to the upside in line with the S&P 500, and the Footsie's been a bit lazy and just following and edging higher and not producing really clear wave counts. But for the DAX here, we've been looking at it as wave 1 and 2, as you know, and 3 here, ABC for 4 here, and then we've been counting 5 waves up here for wave A. This little box here is also the 50 and the 61.8% retracement level from the top to the bottom here, so we kind of expected something to occur across the 11,500, which is a medium level in regards to the trading levels. And let's go in and have a look. But if that top is in place here, then we'd be looking for an A and a B and a C wave down here, and then up from that point there. So yeah, a definite change in trend. And one of the things that can help us with that is the closest largest number, the 11,500 here, being the resistance. So let's go in and have a little look at that. So just picking us up from wave 3 and wave 4 here. Obviously when we spoke last time here, we were looking at this wave 4 to wave 5 here being completed. We can look at that on, this is a 4-hour chart here. We can look at that on a 1-hour chart or 15-minute chart or something. So yeah, we've been counting 5 waves up through this lot here, and expecting a move lower than that. There's probably a good case too for counting this wave 5 not being completed here, copying this and having this up here further, and having this here as 1 and 2 here, and 3 here, and 4 here, and 5 moving to the upside. So if we take this wave 4 here, for instance, and put it here, then we'd also need to look for a 38.2% retracement level here, in this case, which is just below the 11,500 area there. So we can come in on that space there. So I'll just grab that while we're here with this. So that's on that low there, and in that space there. So it just gives us something else that we need to work through. I mean, just looking at the look and the feel of this, you know, as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 moving up a little bit higher, it seems okay at that point. So I'll just move that here out of the way. This little tactic here, looking for a move down below the level, going back up and testing it, and then dropping through and taking that low there. That's kind of what we want to be doing here. We want that. We want the market to prove to us that the market is going to go lower, and it can do that by simply rejecting the 11,500, the closest largest number. In that, there's a process for that, as you know. So we'll be looking down, that's the medium level. We don't need that just there. Don't need the major trading level 1 there. So we need to be a little bit careful. We know that's the 38.2% retracement level. So this can move down into this space here and then move up from there. So it is this, when it comes down through to here, it normally bounces back off here, which it has done. It's hit it here and bounced back up there, and now it's coming down here again. And there'll probably be another little bounce in here as well, but like a ball bouncing on the ground, the first high is the highest, and the second one is lower. So I'd have to wait for that to come through here, and then retest that there, and we'll get a closer look at this later. I'm just shooting the breeze here, and then once that's rejected there, then that triggers the trade. That low triggers the trade there, because otherwise you can just get trapped and the market can move up from that point there. So yeah, this particular pattern here where we're looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here is possible, but otherwise we'll be looking for a move further down here in this instance here. So we'll look for the A wave here, a B wave over here, and if I can just move that across there, and I can adjust all of that later. But we would be looking for a nice 5-wave structure coming down in the A wave here. And I have to say, when you get a correction as an ABC here, if I can just draw up here, it's normally the A wave that moves really sharp, and then the B wave can work its way back up, and then the C wave will sort of reluctantly work its way down on more of an angle as such. So yeah, this is a place to act quick. This is a place here where you can have a glass of red or something, you know, and take your time. But yeah, so we just need to be quite mindful of this dropping quickly through here on this instance. I want to take a closer look at this particular pattern in through here. I'll just do a bit of homework there. We don't need, oh yeah, no, I'll leave that one there, that's fine. Put that there. So yeah, a couple of little things here. Might have to go to the tick chart. I think this is a 15-minute chart. No, this will be fine. So this is the top area here that we're looking at here for that wave 5. Now the first move down through here as wave 1, I grant you, is not the nicest looking 5-wave structure in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. It could also be counted as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave to here as such. But I've seen this before, this kind of thing, so I'm just going to leave it there. And I could also come out 1 degree as well here, meaning that if I can just, yes, I will just copy that for the time being, and I will copy this one here, and we'll copy this one here, and this one here. And we'll need to move these in a bit. So sorry, just thinking this out a bit. 5 waves in this third wave here, so that's cool. That can go into there. This can go to here. This one to here. This one for the third wave here. This is the fourth wave here. This is the fifth wave here on this spike here. And this is the A, the B, and the C. And that also needs to be lifted up one more thing as well. I don't have that here for the moment. So what I might do just here, just copy this here. I'm just going to make an assumption here that this is 1 and 2. I need to come up 1 degree higher for this, so I'm just going to move these out of the way here. They should be in green. That this rally A, B, and C here should be in green, but I'm just going to put it here, and this would leave also this one here. Move this out of the way. 1 here and 2 here. So this, from that high here to this low here, this is the 50-60% retracement level. So we can get some sort of rally into here and then down from here. But like I said before, we want to get that first low below the level. That will come down here, bounce off here, of course, and come down here. And we want to get that there. So I'm going to move that there. I mean, on Friday, we talked about trying to, you know, short it through here, finding that low and that low here, but obviously the market dropped and it didn't give us a really nice shape and pattern and all that. And this red thing here, that's from the long trades that we had, so that's kind of over here somewhere, and all that's finished. We had a nice little trade up there, that was great. And so this move down now, we were looking at, now I was going to look at the bullish side for a second. Okay, so we would have looked at this on the top here and then here, so now we can bring it over here, right? Of course, we'll be able to get a better position than this, especially if this rallies back up to this point here, then we can bring it down to this point. But we're not there yet with that, so I won't put those in, but anyway, look for a little ABC pattern here for that. And try not to get hooked on the market being bullish or bearish, right? Because there's two things that can occur here, and it's important not to become, you want to become attached to both of the counts, not just one of them, because that's just going to get you into trouble at that point. If this is triggered here, then you'll need to put the stop above this one. But if this one here is in place, then you can put it above that. okay? And we're looking for that move to the downside there. So in a way, this whole count to the downside would be invalidated if this top became breached, and that would create the long trade. And to the downside, we want a really nice, you know, we want the market to come through. It may even come through further, you know, down into the 400 and then retest it. If you can see it in 3 waves, well, then you can go across that way, or you can go across this way. But you do need to allow that to come into play there. And there will be a little tiny one in here, but don't get wrapped up in that. You know, you want to see a nice clear breach, and then a retest, and then a rejection of that price point. You know, that's becoming the support. So you want to see it as resistance eventually, and then you can move down from that point. And it could move quite swiftly at that junction as well, because you'd be wave 1 here, wave 2 here, wave 1 here, wave 2 here, wave 1 and 2 here. So it'll be like the third of the third moving down. So it could happen quite quickly, and everybody's just sort of waiting for some bad news, really. I mean, there's plenty. I'm not waiting for it. I mean, there's plenty of bad news. The whole situation's bad news, and the markets are not following that news because they're being held financially up. So okay, so I just want to recap the DAX. So just coming back to this situation here, we were looking at I'll just move that. Might need that. It does appear that we have a 5-wave structure here. So that being the case, we will likely to see after 5 waves, we're going to see a 3-wave correction and then another 5 waves. Yes, and we could be in a larger correction, but I've got wave 4 here. I'm comfortable with that for the time being, but I understand wave 4s can get ugly. So, you know, I'm not professing anything at this particular stage, but what I can say is because we've got 5 waves here, we should be getting 3 waves here and then another push up. Now, the second thing, is that the top there? I think it is, but when we look at it on the 4-hour chart here, for example, it doesn't really give us a nice wave 1 anywhere. I know when I pulled it apart, I've counted in here as 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 here, and 5 here, but it just makes it a little bit small. So I'm left scratching my head a little bit, because you've got to kind of look at the structure as well, you've got to do 2 things. You've got to count each little wave, so you know that you know, and you're not in the guessing game. And then the second thing is it's got to have the right appearance. It's got to have, well, does it look like 5 waves? It doesn't, you know, but when I counted it, it counts that way. So I'm still left scratching my head. So we need to compensate for that weakness of my analysis. So I do that by looking in the situation here. We can go long above here, and that will take us higher. So we're not going to miss the trend, you know, because we are in a bullish trend until proven otherwise. And the situation that the bullish trend, it could just have wave 4 pulling down into this space here. So that low there. So what we really want to see is we want to see that low there become the retested resistance. And that's what I was trying to point out here by getting a very clear move through there and then getting the resistance and then shorting at that point. So we've covered the long trade, the short trade, the analysis, and we just need to see what plays out and then take that trade. So you know, at this point here, you don't have to shovel everything in at once. You can feed it in over 4 trades. But being an A wave, we have to move reasonably swift. You see how this A wave here, just as an example? So trust in that sort of thing, you know, where the C wave's a bit lazier. I mean, it's sped up a little bit here, not a great example, but I don't think we should look for perfect all the time. I mean, it's nice to consider it and churn it over and head in that particular direction, but you know, be prepared. The journey's not, if you look at perfection, the journey's not going to be perfect. If you're not making mistakes, then you're not moving forward. So that's that. So let's have a quick look at the Footsie, which It's in the same situation as well. I've just counted as 1 and 2 and then all the way up for 3 and ABC for 4 here. And the same situation is here as well. I counted 1 here and 2 here, then 3 here and 4 here. And then we can count 5 into this structure here. It's not the best looking structure, but I know that the Footsie is just going to be pulled around by the euro and the S&P and so on, and it needs to do its own thing as well. So it could also have a top in play here as well. In this case here, I kind of like the top being in place, and this is probably the market to short because it's failed in its ranges. Like wave 5 just tipped the top out here. Not that it has to, but normally you just need to see 5 waves in here. So normally we'd see it much sort of higher here. The only way that I can go here is that, let's just go into, see what I've done on the hourly or something. So yeah, so on the hourly chart here, I counted 1 here and 2 here and 3 here, and then an A and a B and a C here for wave 4. And then looking up here, it doesn't count very well at all, but 1 and 2 here, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave, fourth wave. And I was expecting, to be honest, I was expecting this to be, you know, to move up here a little bit further, but it's just crashed now and it's overlapped this wave 1. So that rules out that. So we can certainly have a top in play here with this. At this stage, we can just, a couple of things that we could do. I mean, we need to move through the 61.8% mark here. That would help, which we're just here on support at the moment. I mean, if the 6,000 became the retested resistance in this case, it definitely would be on our way at that point. But, you know, if, yeah, I don't know. On the downside here, this counts a little bit different here. Let me just go to the 15-minute chart, see if I can count it out. I haven't spent time on it here, to be honest. Right, I can see it. So I'll just borrow these, copy this. That's wave 1 and 2 there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in this case here, we're left with either an ABC pattern or 1, 2, and 3 here, because I suppose I could put that out here. I have to pull that apart and have a look at that. I mean, I'm thinking of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, but that's pulled up a little bit too high for that. So I think we might have to put the third wave in. Yep. So that's already in there for that, and that is that, and we need a 5th wave, which we had up here. Copy that here. So it's just not, this market's just not going to, this market is going to, it's got its own personality, but its personality is not strong enough to create a nice wave structure at the moment for itself. It's being bullied around by other markets, so it's just going to be a reflection of the other markets. So whatever's happening with, if you're trading this market, whatever's happened with the S&P and whatever's happening with the DAX, then you need to move with that. So with the S&P 500, for example, if the 3,000 became the retested resistance, then we want to be moving in on the short side at that particular point. Okay, so the 3,000 for the S&P would be a nice sort of mirror to watch for trading this, because I can't see this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming down here, probably finished. Or maybe have another low and then coming back up here for an ABC pattern and then moving down. It certainly could. I mean, that's what this count is telling me to do at this point. But any strong bounce will probably come off this number here. So down here, then a bounce. So I think we'll just wait. We won't trade this just yet, but I mean, it's the one to trade because it's going to move quicker to the downside. It's just looking for an excuse to head in that direction. So you'll have to look at the DAX and the S&P 500 to trade this. Okay, alrighty. I'm just going to recap this here on the 4-hour chart here. So the market's been bullish, and from this low to here, and the market still is bullish, but there's a possibility a top can be in play here. We are seeing overlapping wave structures now for this, so that means that leg has to be completed. And if that's completed, what we're looking for here is some move down, probably into the 6,000. We'd need to see a retest in 3 waves, and then it can come down from that point. So yeah, this move across here at 6,000, once that starts to become breached over here, then we'll see that drop come in play here. But it's just going to move with the other markets. On the long side here, it's got a long way to travel back up to here to prove anything at that point. I mean, it is from this low to this high here. It is at the 61.8% roughly here. So it can move up from here. But I just can't see the wave count, so how it could do that. Unless, you know, the other thing here, it's not going to happen though. This being a B wave here and a C wave over here, no, just thinking out loud. Now we'll have to run with the DAX on this. So whatever the DAX is going to be doing, then we'll look at this to do the same as well here. But that's the 61.8% here. So it can certainly move up from that point. But if it's going to move up, we need to see a nice clear impulse wave heading up here. So we need to wait for the pullback as well. So yeah, it's just a messy structure. I can't help out that much. All I can say is just mirror the DAX and the S&P 500 on this particular market here. But it is the one to short if you can find a way in. Okay, cheers.